The message that changed everything. I never thought I'd be the type of man to check my wife's phone. I always believed trust was the foundation of a good marriage. And for the first 7 years, it was. Her name's Rachel. We met in college. She was studying design. I was doing construction management. When we got married, it felt like a power couple setup. She handled the blueprints, I built the vision. We even started our own small renovation business together. We didn't have kids yet, but we were saving for a place just outside the city. Somewhere quiet, with a backyard and enough space to start a family. Things started to feel off about 6 months ago. It wasn't anything obvious, no lipstick on a shirt or weird late-night phone calls. It was small things, quiet things. She stopped laughing at my jokes. Her goodnight kisses got quicker. And every time I walked into the room, she was putting her phone down like I had just interrupted something private. But I shrugged it off. I thought maybe she was just tired of the grind. We both worked long hours, and sometimes the jobs took us to separate sites for days at a time. Then, one afternoon, I came home early from a job site. We were renovating a condo across town, and the client had a supply delay, no work for the day. I figured I'd surprise her with lunch. She wasn't home, not unusual, but her laptop was open on the kitchen table, and her phone was right next to it, buzzing. She never leaves her phone alone. A message popped up. Can't stop thinking about last night. You were incredible. No name, just a number. My heart actually stopped. I just stared at it, frozen. Then, another message. Same time Thursday? That was tomorrow. I picked up her phone. My hands were shaking. I knew it was wrong, but I tapped the screen and opened the thread. No name saved, just a string of texts going back weeks. Some flirty, some sexual, some just weirdly intimate. Like the kind of things you say when you know the person. Trust them, love them, whoever it was. He signed off with a single initial, D. And then it hit me. Rachel had taken a side job recently, a solo project, she said. A custom interior redesign, for a real estate investor. Said his name was Drew. D. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I didn't throw anything. Instead, I closed the phone, set it back exactly where it was, and walked out of the house. I got in my truck, sat there in the driveway, and just stared through the windshield. I knew I couldn't confront her yet, not until I was absolutely sure. If I was wrong, I'd destroy our marriage. But if I was right, I pulled out my phone and called an old buddy, Steve. He runs a private security company. I told him I needed a GPS tracker and a few discrete cameras. No questions asked. He said, "You okay, man?" I didn't answer. Steve didn't ask many questions. That's why I called him. By the next morning, I had a slim little GPS tracker the size of a thumb drive and 3 discrete Wi-Fi cameras, the kind you can hide in a light fixture or behind a vent. High resolution, motion activated, and totally silent. I told Rachel I was heading out to a supply run for a bathroom remodel we were starting that Monday. She didn't even look up from her laptop. That was the thing that hit me hardest, how normal she was acting. Like nothing had changed, like she hadn't spent the last several weeks whispering to some guy named Drew, texting things that used to be reserved for me. While she was in the shower, I installed the first camera in the living room, hidden inside a broken smoke detector I'd never gotten around to fixing. The second went in the corner of our home office, tucked into a decorative shelf. The third? That one was trickier. I needed it in the bedroom. Now, I wasn't proud of it. But after seeing those messages, I couldn't risk missing anything. I mounted it inside a wall vent across from our bed, angled just right. No light, no sound, nothing that would give it away. As for the tracker, I waited until she left for work later that afternoon. She was wearing heels, full makeup, and a dress I hadn't seen before. That told me everything I needed to know. When she pulled out of the driveway, I slipped into the garage, popped the tracker into a magnetic case, and clipped it under her car's rear bumper. Took me less than a minute. Then I went back inside and watched the camera feeds from my laptop. I had full remote access, audio and everything. It felt disgusting. It also felt necessary. That night, I didn't say much to her. She acted completely normal, made dinner, asked about my day, even tried to initiate, intimacy. And let me tell you, that almost broke me. Because as she kissed me, touched me, said the same things she always said, all I could think about was the other guy. How many times had she done the exact same thing with him? Was she doing this now out of guilt? Or worse, just to cover her tracks? I played along. I didn't want her to sense anything. But inside, I was just numb. After she fell asleep, I got out of bed, went into the guest room, and opened my laptop. I pulled up the GPS tracker. Her last location? Not her office. Not a client's house. It was a residential address out in Willowbrook, about 30 minutes from our place. And get this. The house belonged to Drew Hammond, a guy the first remembered from a few years back. He used to be a contractor too. Had a representative for underbidding everyone and sleeping with his clients. Apparently, Rachel had become one of them. I sat there in the dark, watching the little red dot blink on the map. I could feel the rage building inside me, but I still wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. No, I was going to make this count. I was going to gather every piece of evidence, every moment of betrayal, and when the time came, I'd drop it all at once. Cold, calculated, crushing. Let her feel what it's like when your whole world gets ripped out from under you. Thursday came faster than I expected. Rachel had mentioned it in a text, the same one I'd seen on her phone. Same time Thursday? The day had been gnawing at me ever since. She claimed she had a late client meeting. Said it might run past 9 p.m. She even threw in the usual, "Don't wait up, babe." I didn't respond. Instead, I acted like I was headed out to a bar with some of the guys from the site, grabbed my keys, and left. I parked 2 blocks over, circled back on foot, and let myself into the house through the back door. The cameras were already rolling. Everything was in place. By 7:42 p.m., her car was gone. Tracker showed her heading toward Willowbrook. At 8:11, it stopped. Right in front of Drew Hammond's house. I stayed frozen, staring at that little blinking dot. Even though I already knew the truth, it still didn't feel real. You know that feeling when your gut knows something, but your brain still holds out hope? That's where I was. I flipped over to the camera feeds, empty house. Quiet, dark. I sat alone in the living room, laptop glowing, and waited. 2 hours passed, then 3. At 11:17 p.m., her location started moving again. She was heading back. By 11:47, I heard her car pull into the driveway. I killed the laptop feed, stood up, and wiped my hands on my jeans. I wasn't going to confront her tonight, but I wanted to see her face. I wanted to look her in the eyes and see if I could tell. The door opened. She came in quietly, like someone sneaking back from a place they shouldn't have been. Hair messy, lipstick faded, smelling like cheap wine and hotel-grade body spray. "Hey," she said casually, hanging her purse on the hook. I swallowed hard. "Hey, how was the meeting?" She didn't flinch. "Oh, it ran late. The guy wouldn't stop talking about tile options. I think I fell asleep with my eyes open at one point." She laughed. I didn't. I just nodded and said, "Long day. I'm heading to bed." She kissed me on the cheek, same as always. Like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't spent the last 3 hours wrapped around someone else. That night, I couldn't sleep. I laid there, listening to her breathing next to me. Calm, peaceful, like nothing was wrong. At 2 a.m., I got up and checked the footage. I thought I was prepared for it. I wasn't. Camera footage log. Thursday, 8:19 p.m. Rachel enters the front door of a modest 2-story house. The man, Drew, greets her shirtless. She laughs, steps in, and the door closes behind her. At 8:32, they're on the couch, hands all over each other. By 8:50, they're in the bedroom. No music, no romance, just urgency, like it wasn't the first time, like it was routine. At one point, she takes a call, brief, whispered, then she laughs and tosses the phone aside. I had to mute the audio. Couldn't stomach it. I sat there until the video ended. Until she left his house at 11:17 on the dot. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I saved the footage, labeled it, backed it up on 3 different drives and uploaded it to a secure cloud account. Revenge isn't just about rage. It's about timing. And I wasn't done yet. By Friday morning, the anger had changed. It wasn't loud anymore. It wasn't a fire. It was a low, cold hum that followed me through every moment of the day. I woke up before her, made coffee, sat at the table scrolling through my laptop while she wandered in, yawning, hair still damp from her morning shower. "Hey babe," she said, pouring herself a cup. "You okay? You're quiet." Didn't sleep much, I mumbled. Head's pounding. She gave me a little concerned frown. Stress, probably. You've been running yourself ragged lately. Maybe take a weekend off. That's when it hit me. She was trying to buy space, giving me the out so she could go see him again. She wasn't just cheating, she was planning around it. Calculating. I nodded. Yeah, maybe you're right. She smiled and kissed my forehead. I'm gonna go meet Ashley for lunch. I'll be back later, okay? Ashley, her best friend. Except Ashley had moved out of state 3 months ago. I didn't say anything, just watched her walk out the door. As soon as she left, I grabbed my keys and followed the GPS signal. She wasn't heading toward downtown. She wasn't heading toward any restaurant either. She was heading back to his place. Twice in 2 days, like she couldn't stay away. I didn't follow her all the way there. I already had what I needed from the cameras and the tracker. But that day I realized something that shook me to my core. She was happy. This wasn't guilt-ridden. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. That night, she came home like nothing happened. We ordered takeout, watched a movie. She curled up next to me like we were still us. And I watched her. I watched how easy it was for her to lie. The next few days, I became the perfect husband. Helpful, sweet, attentive. I wanted her relaxed, comfortable. I wanted her to drop her guard. I started making small changes. Quietly transferring money out of our joint accounts. Making backups of our business records. Setting up a private P.O. box. I even visited a lawyer, someone I trusted, someone discreet. Do you have proof? The attorney asked. I opened my laptop and played 45 seconds of footage. No sound. No need for it. He closed the screen and said, "You're in good shape. Just don't let her know you know." That was the hard part. Because by now, every second I was near her felt like swallowing broken glass. But I had to hold it together. I started a log. Every time she left, every time her tracker pinged, every time she claimed she was somewhere she wasn't, I wrote it down. Time, date, duration, location. I cross-referenced it with the camera footage and even checked our bank statements for anything suspicious. That's how I found the hotel receipts. She'd used a separate credit card, one she thought I didn't know about, to book a room at a downtown hotel 2 Fridays in a row. Not Drew's house, not a work event, a hotel. And the guest name on the reservation? Mr. Andrew Hammond. She wasn't just meeting him at his place. She was booking rooms. Now she was paying for it. I don't know why, but that hurt more than anything else. Like she was investing in it. Like he was something real to her. I stared at that hotel receipt for a long time. My hand was trembling, but not from sadness. From clarity. She had no idea what was coming. By the time the 5th weekend rolled around, I had enough evidence to bury her in court, burn our business to the ground, and ruin Drew Hammond's reputation with one email. But I wasn't looking for a clean break anymore. I wanted her to feel what I felt. Not just the pain, but the helplessness. The slow unraveling of reality. The shock of betrayal hiding behind a familiar smile. So I came up with a plan. That Friday, I made sure to be extra affectionate. I took her out to dinner, our old favorite spot. Sat across from her in that booth we'd claimed years ago and pretended like I wasn't picturing her tangled up in hotel sheets with another man. She laughed at something I said, something stupid, and for a second I saw a glimpse of the woman I married. That made it worse, because now I knew. She could still be that person. She was choosing not to be. After dessert, I told her I had a surprise planned for the next weekend. An overnight getaway, just the two of us. A cabin in the mountains. No phones, no work, just quiet. We need to reconnect, I said. Her eyes lit up. Really? That sounds amazing. She smiled so wide I almost forgot everything. Almost. What she didn't know was that I already had 2 hidden cameras packed in the truck. And I had already booked the cabin, for myself. Not us. I just needed her out of the house for 24 hours. The next morning, I told her I had to run upstate to scout the cabin ahead of time. Check the roads, make sure it was ready. She didn't question it. She was too busy making weekend plans for herself. Or him. I left just before noon. Drove a few miles north to a diner parking lot and waited. At 1:17 p.m., the GPS tracker pinged. She wasn't heading to a salon, or a store, or even Drew's house. She was heading back to the hotel. Room 304, if I had to guess. I texted Steve. Told him it was go time. 10 minutes later, Steve's guy was outside the hotel lobby, dressed as a delivery driver, carrying a manila envelope with Drew's full name on it. Inside, a printed still image from the security camera. Rachel and Drew, very recognizable. The front desk clerk, paid in cash the night before, called up to room 304 and said, "Mr. Hammond, delivery for you from the design firm." Drew came down to get it. Alone, t-shirt and gym shorts. Hair messy. He never saw the second camera. The one Steve's guy was holding in his belt buckle, recording everything. He opened the envelope right there in the lobby. I'm told he froze, then turned red, then looked up and started scanning the room. But Steve's guy was already gone. Meanwhile, I was home. I entered the house quietly. I knew I had about 2 hours before Rachel would come back, pretending like she'd just been running errands. I walked into our shared office, the one where we kept our business files, invoices, contracts. And I started removing everything with my name on it. Company name. Mine. Client list. Copied. Bank statements. Downloaded. I deleted her email from the company system. Changed every password. Locked her out of everything. She'd still have access to the bank, of course. What was legally hers, but everything else shut off. Then I moved to the bedroom. I opened the closet, pulled out a small duffel bag, and stuffed it with essentials. Passport, backup credit card, burner phone. I wasn't leaving, not yet, but when the next step happened, I needed to be ready to disappear for a few days. Let the shock settle in. At exactly 3:52 p.m., her car pulled back into the driveway. I heard the keys hit the bowl by the door, heard her humming to herself. I was standing in the kitchen, sipping coffee, acting like nothing had changed. She came around the corner and smiled at me. "Hey babe, how was the drive?" I smiled back. It was quiet, and that's when I saw it. For the first time in months. She looked nervous. She tried to act normal. Walked over, kissed my cheek, asked if I wanted something from the store for dinner. I just watched her. Every word out of her mouth was practiced, calm, breezy, like nothing had happened. But her hands were betraying her. She was fidgeting, adjusting her purse strap, brushing imaginary lint off her jacket. She never did that when she was relaxed. Something had spooked her. Good. I took another sip of coffee. "Actually," I said, "I already picked something up. Thought we could eat in tonight." She nodded, but I could see the flicker of something in her eyes. Maybe guilt, maybe suspicion. She walked upstairs to change, and I waited. Gave it a few minutes, then opened my laptop and watched the footage from the living room cam. It showed her walking in, glancing around like she was expecting something, or someone. And then, when she thought she was alone, she sat on the couch and just stared into space. I'd never seen her look like that. Not sad, not anxious, panicked. She knew something was wrong. She just didn't know how much I knew. She came back down in sweats and tied her hair up like it was any other lazy Saturday. "I'm gonna go do laundry," she said. I shrugged. Cool. She headed to the basement. I grabbed my phone and checked the tracker again. Drew hadn't moved since the hotel. No calls from her phone to his. No messages. She was shutting down, isolating. Smart. I waited until dinner to drop the first breadcrumb. We were eating quietly, pizza, because I didn't care enough to cook, and I said, "You know, I ran into someone weird today." She looked up, blinking. "Oh yeah? Who?" "Drew Hammond. From back in the day. You remember him?" The fork froze halfway to her mouth. That second of silence told me everything. She recovered quickly. Yeah, I think so. Isn't he that contractor guy?" I smiled. "Yeah, small world, huh?" He said he's doing a lot of hotel work these days. Design gigs. Seems busy. She nodded too fast. Cool. Yeah, I haven't heard his name in forever. Right. I let it hang there, just long enough for the tension to breathe, and then I said, "Anyway, he mentioned someone he was working with. Said she's really talented. Interior designer." She swallowed hard. "Didn't say a name," I added. "But I think I know who he meant." The color drained from her face, just for a moment. She laughed. "That's weird. I don't know what he's talking about." I didn't press. Just nodded. "Sure." After dinner, she disappeared into the bedroom for an hour. I knew she was texting. Probably deleting messages, clearing call logs, trying to get ahead of something. I let her. I wanted her paranoid. Because tomorrow? Tomorrow was Sunday. And Sunday was the day everything would fall apart. Here's what I had planned. At 9 a.m., Drew would receive a package at his home. Inside, a USB drive with every clip of him and Rachel together. No note, just the footage. Let his mind tear itself apart. At 10 a.m., Rachel would receive an email from a client inquiring about a design quote, with one of the attached images being a still of her and Drew kissing in that hotel room. At noon, her phone would ping with a calendar reminder. Meeting with the attorney 1:30 p.m., except she never made that meeting. I did, for both of us, and when she saw the address, she'd recognize the firm, because it was the one her best friend used during her divorce last year. That night, I laid in bed next to her. She fell asleep early, like usual. Like everything was fine. I stared at the ceiling in the dark. No more lies. No more hiding. No more pretending. Tomorrow, the mask would come off, and she would finally see what it feels like to lose everything. Sunday morning came quiet and overcast, like even the sky knew something was about to break. I was up before her, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, tracking the deliveries. 9:04 a.m. Drew's front door camera, the one I got a buddy to install months ago during a fake security inspection, showed him opening the package. He stared into the box for a long time before reaching in, pulling out the USB drive. A moment later, he disappeared inside. That gave me about 10 minutes before the fallout started. I imagined him plugging it into his laptop, seeing the full, unfiltered reality of what had been documented. Every touch, every kiss, every lie Rachel told. No edits, no context, just the raw truth. I never hated him, honestly. He was just the type, opportunistic, sleazy, and too weak to turn down something handed to him in secret. But now he'd realize exactly what kind of bomb he'd stepped on. 10:02 a.m. Rachel's phone buzzed on the kitchen island. She was in the shower. I watched the screen light up. New email. Design project inquiry, urgent. From a dummy account I created. Inside was a message about a fake commercial remodel needing consultation, and 3 attachments, one of which was a still shot of her sitting on the edge of a hotel bed, Drew standing between her knees. It was time-stamped, GPS tagged, labeled, confidential. The kind of email that hits you harder than any punch. She didn't see it yet. But she would, and when she did, she'd know she was being watched all along. 12:44 p.m. She finally opened it. She'd been pacing all morning, checking her phone every few minutes. At one point she went outside and made a call, probably to Drew. She was spiraling, and I was sitting right across from her, pretending not to notice. When she opened the email, I watched her face change. It was subtle at first, a shift in her jaw, the way she blinked too many times in a row. Then she put the phone down slowly, like it weighed 50 pounds. I didn't say anything. She finally whispered, "Did you send this to me?" I sipped my coffee. "Send what?" She looked up, eyes hollow. "You know what?" I held her gaze. "Yeah, I do." Silence. And then, her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. But it wasn't a real apology. It was the kind people give when they know they've been caught, not when they feel remorse." I leaned forward. "Tell me, which part are you sorry for? The first time? The hotel? Or the fact that you looked me in the eye for months and lied like it was nothing?" Tears welled up. I didn't mean to. I cut her off. Calm. Ice cold. "Save it." She started to panic. Asked if we could talk. Said maybe counseling. Maybe we could work through it. That's when I told her about the meeting. 1:30 today. You and me. Divorce attorney. I already booked it. She went silent. Completely still. Then I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and said, "You won't lose everything. But you'll lose me. And that's going to be the part that hurts the most." I walked out and didn't look back. I didn't care if she cried. I didn't care if she called him. Because she knew. Now, she finally knew. You don't get to shatter someone's world and walk away clean. There's a cost. And today, she started paying it.